is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is awesome. He reigns from heaven with wisdom, power, and wisdom. Our God is an awesome God.
Our God is an awesome God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, love. Our God is an awesome God. Now when he rolled up his sleeves,
I'm going to be talking about pain as a compass to seek God. And our dear Fritz family, they're in a different type of pain to what I'm discussing today. Your pain is of mourning pain. But the pain that I want to be talking about is the type of pain that we suffer as a consequence of the actions that we take. So, and the new direction that God sets for us as a consequence of the actions that we take. We were talking in the week in our Bible study about successful planning, and I started off the study with this long list of things that I personally kind of, have this plan in place, and many a times I can say it didn't always work out. Where I am today and what I'm doing today, not quite what I had in mind 10 years ago, but I am where I am. The Lord has continued on whatever journey I continue to walk along. He has been there every step of the way. But something I've had to learn the hard way is my plans don't always work out. My desires that I haven't always come to fruition, and to accept those failures that have happened in my life. But sometimes for many of us, we suffer a lot of pain because that plan that we had really doesn't work out. Maybe a marriage didn't work out. Maybe a purchase of a bond didn't work out. Maybe the job that we really wanted didn't work out. Maybe the education that we wanted or the university we wanted to get to didn't work out. Maybe that big deal that we were bidding for didn't work out. Maybe our children didn't work out. Many things in our life that come to a lot of pain that we have to endure. And for many people, they will ask God and say, or question God and say, why is there pain and suffering in this life? If there were truly a God, why then is there pain and suffering in this life? I'd like to think for us as Christians, that's a really easy question to answer. We know why. But for many out there, and maybe for some of our young Christians, we may question God and continue to ask, why is there pain and suffering in this life? Many will challenge that if there was truly a loving God, we've heard that before, if God was really loving, He would then not allow His children to suffer. Haven't we heard that many times? And maybe in the back of our mind somewhere we have that thinking too. Challenge God. If you're truly loving, why do you allow me to suffer, Lord? Why do you allow these things to happen in my life? However, whether for the righteous, whether you are good, or the unrighteous, whether you are bad, both suffer equally. There is no differentiation between whether you're good and whether you're bad, and that we can say only the good suffer and only the bad suffer. Both will suffer equally. You see, affliction is not pleasant. It's not a nice thing. Never is. It's not meant to be. Its reasons are never always apparent. Why is this happening to me? It's not something that you can obviously see. And normally we can only call upon the Lord during our times of suffering. So, only when we are suffering, only when we're afflicted, only then do we really call upon the Lord that we are in need. But we keep God at a distance. He's there, but He's just there during our times of prosperity. See, I'm busy achieving a lot of things. When things are going well for me, I don't really take God and put Him front and center in my life. He's there, He's in the distance. But man, when things go bad, wow, do we now reach out to God? He needs to step in here and help. We are very quick to call upon the Lord in times of trouble, but not so quick in times of success. Maybe a short prayer. Lord, thank you that went through, and we bulldoze on with whatever we are busy with. But very slow in our calling on the Lord when we are successful. Pain or suffering, it's not pleasant. We often find ourselves questioning the reasons for it. Why me, Lord? Why now, Lord? Why this way, Lord? Why not them, Lord? See what I'm your child. I'm your chosen one. You see, we don't like to be disciplined. It's not a nice thing. Never is pleasant. It's not meant to be pleasant. So viewing pain as a form of discipline is always rejected. Because I don't like to be disciplined. I don't like to think or see suffering as a form of discipline in my life. It's much easier to question God's existence. It's much easier to question His purpose rather than this is meant for me, this is a good thing for me. It's rather question God, question His purpose, question God's love. Surely He knows to love me. Surely He would allow this to happen to me if He loved me. It's much easier to blame God for our suffering, blame others for our suffering, than it is to recognize God's calling. God's calling me. God's directing me unto Himself. How can this be? There was a time of great suffering and affliction in Israel's history. And I want to read into that a little bit. Great suffering and affliction in Israel's history. There were many. Wow, there's a lot of sufferings. But there was one particular one that really stands out. A time when everything that the Israelites held dear was destroyed or taken from them. Everything was taken from them. Everything they held dear was destroyed. Where former glory was wiped out, former splendor was removed, and everything thought too holy, even for man to touch, man touched and destroyed. Lord, it is your sanctuary. How can man destroy your sanctuary? And God allowed man to destroy it. That time was at the end of the reign of the kings of the southern kingdom, Judah, during the time of Jeremiah the prophet. God had sent several warnings, several prophets, but to no avail. They did not want to listen, Israel at least. They did not want to divert from the way they were pursuing in their life, the continuous evil and wickedness that was happening. There was no avail. Then finally, God raised up the Babylonian Empire to conquer and to plunder Jerusalem and Judea. He used the Babylonians as a tool to discipline His people, and it was devastating. Turn with me to Lamentations chapter 1. So Jeremiah writes the book of Lamentations. He's sadly credited as the weeping prophet, but man, what he witnessed was truly a horror, devastating. And he writes in Lamentations chapter 1 verse 1. How lonely sits the city, referring specifically to Jerusalem, that was full of people. How like a widow has she become, she who was great among the nations, she who was a princess among the provinces, has become a slave. She weeps bitterly in the night with tears on her cheeks. Among all her lovers, she has none to comfort her. All her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They have become her enemies. All those that surrounded Judah, nobody was there to save her. The Babylonians destroyed it all. Verse 3, Judah has gone into exile because of affliction and hard servitude. She dwells now among the nations. So everything was destroyed. They were taken into exile and relocated to Babylon. She dwells now among the nations, but finds no resting place. It was never their home. It was no place to be home. Her pursuers have all overtaken her in the midst of her distress. Surely so much pain is enough pain. Surely there's a limit to how much pain we must endure. But this is truly a devastating thing that happened, that God had to pluck the remaining part of whatever Judah was left and relocated them far away. For the rest of the life, for most of the people of Israel, they lived out their entire life in exile. Verse 4. The roads to Zion mourn, for none come to the festival. And we remember every year Jews would come from all around to the festival. There were several festivals. All her gates are desolate. Her great walls were broken down. Her priests groan, her virgins have been afflicted, and she herself suffers bitterly. Her foes have become the head. Her enemies prosper. Enemies of God that prosper. Because the Lord has afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. Has disciplined his people. When her people fell into the hand of the foe and there was none to help her, her foes gloated over her. They mocked at her downfall. Jerusalem sinned grievously. Therefore she becomes filthy. All who honored her despise her. She was this radiant, magnificent place of worship that everybody would come, and God destroyed it, took it away. For they have seen her nakedness. She herself groans and turns her face away. Her uncleanliness was in her skirts. She took no thought of her future, therefore her fall is terrible. Took no thought of her future. Didn't consider the consequences of her actions. Therefore her fall is terrible. She has no comforter. O Lord, behold my affliction, for the enemy has triumphed. The enemy has stretched out his hands over all her precious things. For she has seen the nations enter her sanctuary. Forbidden people entered her sanctuary, desecrated it, destroyed it, carried off everything that was holy to it. Those whom you forbade to enter your congregation. Who here has suffered such loss? Having everything that you have taken away from you. being displaced and taken to a foreign place, a foreign nation, due to no fault of your own. None of us have. Not our parents, not our foreparents. Yes, wars have been fought. Yes, pain has been endured. I'm thinking as far back as the Anglo-Boer War. I'm going to get to that part. But for us today, none of us have suffered such loss. Who here has lost their home and all your possessions? Some of us have. Some of us have. But the Lord is still with us. The Lord has still continued through that suffering and pain to be with you. But you haven't lost everything to the extent that you have been exiled to a foreign place. Who here has been rounded up and moved to a foreign land? None of us. Or being left behind with everything around you destroyed and burnt? None of us. Ending up in a concentration camp. You see, that's usually a consequence of war. For the Babylonians, they rounded up the Israelites, placed them in Babylon. There was no place for them to make home. There were no homes set up and streets and roads and plumbed water. They were in a concentration camp. And they would be there for many, many years. 70 years. They would eventually build and make homes for themselves, work hard for the kingdom of Babylon, and then be taken over by the Persians. They would have to make it their home. I think sometimes of the Anglo-Boer War, many families suffered in concentration camps as a consequence of the war. It's the norm for most civilians of war. It's terrible conditions, limited resources, and suffering. There being no prospect for rescue, and the acceptance that this will be your living conditions for the rest of your life. You see, in World War II, there was very much a prospect of rescue. There were armies coming. There were nations fighting to rescue the oppressed. But for the Israelites, there was nobody coming. There was no army remaining to come and rescue those who were afflicted. And they would have to come to the realization that this was how they would live for the rest of their lives. Who here can say that they have suffered so much affliction? None of us. Pain is a compass to seek God. God delivered a powerful blow to the Israelites, to his chosen people. It wasn't just good enough that they should lose significant battles, but be able to return to their home afterwards. This happened during the Assyrian campaign, and yet, though God redeemed Judah, they did not relent from their wickedness. The Assyrians came, they near lost it, but Judah won that war, and they were able to return to their home afterwards. And yet they did not relent from their wickedness. Then again, against the Syrians and the Moabites who fought against them, the Israelites nearly lost, but were able to return to their home after those campaigns. And yet they did not relent from their wickedness. So what was received as pain and affliction was God's instrument for discipline and a beckoning back to him. Return to me, God says. Put aside your ways. Return to me, God asks. The horror of the destruction of Jerusalem and the exile of the people of Israel should show us just how much God wants to redeem us. To what great extent God will go to redeem us. What he is prepared to do to redeem us. How badly he must love us. Very quick we are to blame God, question God, ask God, how can there be a loving God? But brethren, I want us to see He was willing to go all the way to redeem his people, to save them from near destruction. How great his love is that he wants his people to direct their paths toward him in everything that they do. That is our purpose. That is what we need to do, and that is what God desires of us. He loves us that much. Direct your paths in his direction. To rely on no one else other than God. No one else's money, career, material things, whatever else. But rather that we rely on God. Give to God what is his. And to every day be grateful for the many, many blessings we have received from God. To not despise the afflictions we face for a short while, but rather to embrace it. To be refined by it. Knowing that we are being refined by fire and purified from all impurities that we may have. And brethren, we have impurities. For none of us are perfect. But God is purifying us from those impurities. When we point our compass needle, and each of us have a compass needle, that it points towards God and not towards our own selfish desires. For you see, there are 360 points of direction on a compass. 359 of those points point toward worldly desires. Worldly things. Things that make us, embellish us, make us enriched, but direct us away from God. 359 points. And to self-ambition, self-gain, self-reliance. But there's only one point of direction that points toward God and his unfailing love and sanctuary for us. That's a very big competition, that 359 points can point us away from God, but only one towards him. Where does our needle point? For many mariners, they will teach us just 1 degree out. Over a very long distance, you will miss your destination by miles. Just 1 degree out. It is very important that we are on that correct degree that faces God. Finding that single point of direction on our own is near impossible, brethren. It is near impossible. The world is too good at what it does to distract us from what is right. The world is, Satan is working hard all around us and amongst us to distract us from that point of direction we need to find. So finding it on our own, near impossible. And that is why we have the church. And the necessity to be actively involved and not just a distant attendee. To be called a servant unto others and not just a warm bencher, a person who's warming the benches. Be an active attendee. To conclude, the psalm writer says in Psalms 119, verse 67, "Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I keep your word." Thus, before any affliction or any recognition that I was distant from truly serving the Lord, I ran astray. I didn't realize I was off course. I didn't realize I missed the mark. I didn't realize my needle was bearing a degree off from where it needed to be. So I was running astray. And then affliction hit me. Suffering hit me. And it was the Lord calling me to point in his direction. That only when I was afflicted that I came to my senses and redirected myself in keeping your word. Man, we're very good at getting too busy with the things in our life and neglecting what God requires of us. That I recognize the failure to serve you fully and keeping in step with your commandments for my life. You see, money is not everything. Those things are not everything. That end goal, that is everything. That end strive for heaven, that is everything. Do not neglect something, or do not neglect that end goal in this life. That affliction and suffering is a necessary requirement to keep us disciplined and focused on that end goal. Pain and affliction is an instrument for our benefit and guidance when our needle is not quite pointing toward God. It helps correct our needle of direction when it has gone astray. The Lord wants us to draw ever closer to Him, as there is no other hope for man in this life. We have no other hope other than God, other than Christ, other than what God has promised and is able to deliver. There is nothing in this world that can deliver us. Do not despise pain, for we have not yet suffered the horror of exile and displacement in order to restore us unto Him. Do not despise that pain. However, know this: God will not withhold His hand from delivering whatever pain is necessary. God will not withhold His hand to deliver whatever pain and suffering is necessary to the benefit of those who call upon His name, for our benefit. No more than that. For our benefit. Thus, I want to encourage all of us, whatever pain you're suffering, whatever affliction you have in your life, whatever untoward thing that is happening to you, find strength in whatever affliction you find yourself in, knowing that God is seeking you out for His will and His purpose. Let us continue to work harder for the Lord, work harder on what He requires of us, to work through that pain and suffering, because it is refining us, it is purifying us, it is getting rid of any impurities we may find in ourselves. Brethren, let us stand as we sing the song of invitation. If there's anybody in need of prayer, let it be known now as we stand and sing the song of invitation. Thank you.
And the sun will never rise, and the heavens roll as a scroll. In the blackness of the night, will He cry in deep despair? Are you sad while the storm is high?
While the lightnings flash
And the thunders roll,
and the
raging, lashing waves unfold, the waves unfold in the hollow
of His hand,
as they go in my stand. I'm safe at home at last when the storm has passed. When the angels shout His name, His food on land and sea, and shall say that time is no more. What will you say, my friend, on that last and final day, as you stand before the judge again?
while the lightnings flash
And the thunders roll,
and the raging, lashing waves
unfold, unfold in the
of His hand. I'm secure. He must stand. I am safe and all at last. When the storm has passed, when the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall all arise to go meet the Lord in the air. If to Him you've not been true, then His flows forevermore. Let what witness your journey's end.
While the light is flashed,
And the thunder roll,
and the raging dashing waves unfold,
unfold on the hollow of His
of His hand,
secure. He must stand. I am safe and all at last. When the storm has passed.
love one another, for love is of God. He who loves is born of God and knows God. He who does not love does not know God, for God is love. God is love. Love one another, for love is of God. He who loves is born of God and knows God. He who does not love does not know God, for
endures all things. God is love. God is love. God is things. God is love. God is love. God is things. God is love. God is love. God is things. God is love. God is love. God is things. God is